I found it quite remarkable that without the prior sharing of ideas, both the personnel of this school and I were not only experiencing similar concerns about the ongoing decline and even disappearance of traditional Barbadian cultural practices, but that in the initial stages, we had both independently decided to take steps to stop that national rot before being eventually brought together to pursue a common goal through circumstances which we did not plan or create. And as if such coincidences were not enough, the designer of the corporal costume band turned out to be Mr. Wayne Smith, whom I had not seen for quite some time, but who just happens to share with me common links with Spoonersville, St. Michael, as our place of birth and growing up. I like to think that despite our obvious age difference, Wayne and I would have been exposed to similar neighborhood experiences that helped to trigger in us a shared and deep appreciation for the variety of cultural expressions of the Barbadian working class, manifested over many generations through our food, games, toys, music, visual and performing art, myths, superstitions, nicknames, folklores, proverbs, and other verbal expressions, all of which have helped to give our society its distinctive cultural rhythm and unique flavors. And it is precisely because of our shared concern for the long-term survival of this very valuable essence of what makes us Barbadian that your band, Bajan Treasures, Going, Going, Gone, and I, through my book, are seeking to stimulate public awareness, appreciation, and respect for this section of Barbadian heritage that has customarily not received the same glamorous treatment and public attention given to others. We do so through realizing that without such conscious and deliberate efforts, Barbadian society will be in very grave danger of presiding over the eventual disappearance of vital features of our way of life. Such a terrible fate would have been caused by a combination of our own ignorance and indifference, with the strong impact of the more powerfully and seductively presented and frequently reinforced distractions of other cultures from the Caribbean and other parts of the world. But let me assure you that such observations and warning do not reflect any belief on my part that Barbadians should be so simple-minded, short-sighted, and narrow-minded as to unrealistically believe that our society can and should attempt to shut itself off from other cultures. Such an attitude would be wasteful, if for no other reason than that the availability and abundance of modern technology will make it impossible to bring about such cultural exclusion. This 2015 Junior Canoe Band, crossover band, costume band of the school, should therefore be seen as a very timely and worthwhile effort for its presenters, participants, and supporters to ensure the welcome return to the national stage of what is promoted as our leading cultural festival of costume images and songs that proudly and prominently celebrate the spectacle of symbols that have traditionally made Barbadian culture stand out against all others. And so, the St. Stephen's Primary School needs to be commended for a presentation which should bring much needed and welcome relief and pleasure to the growing vocal numbers of people who simply cannot take any more of the near nudity and blatant vulgarity that presently dominates the image of adults' so-called proper costumes. That's because far too many adult revelers are prepared to shamelessly abandon Bajan creativity and resourcefulness by slavishly allowing band leaders to pander to the lowest common denominator and mankind's coarsest instincts for the making of big profits through the excessive use of feathers, bikinis, and beads, currently passed off as lame excuses for costumes. This has resulted in the Grand Canoe Day Costume Parade looking like a poor imitation of what is to be found at similar events elsewhere, especially in Trinidad. As far as I'm concerned, organizers of adult proper costume bands have over the last 5 years or so failed Barbadian culture miserably by failing to use the prevailing tough economic circumstances as the incentive to dig deeply into Bajan creativity and make heavy use of local ideas and materials to design and display their bands. After all, we have around us, all around us, numerous examples of how past generations of Bajans use their natural inventiveness to survive and creatively enhance their social and cultural lives, all in keeping with the old age-old proverb that necessity is the mother of invention and the value of Barbadian being willing to cut and contrive. As those leaders sought to learn from the past, they would not have only re-injected more of what is Bajan into the visual spectacle that Grand Kadum is generally supposed to be, but it would also taken us back to the use and retention of much neglected technical costume making skills and saved us from spending so much of the all-important foreign exchange on imported costumes. However, I must warn this school that no matter how well-intentioned it will take much more than one band of this type in one corporate year to achieve our noble objective. Instead, in the same way that your in-school teaching methods rely on repetition and reinforcement for effectiveness and retention, you must also be prepared to provide more than one such lesson to the wider and adult public. In other words, I would like to see the process radically reversed and have adult costume bands come to imitate the standards of creativity of the children of St. Stephen's Primary School, rather than the other way around as normally happens in social life. My hope is that we will from next year be joined by other institutions, especially schools, all of which have pivotal roles in positively molding young and impressionable minds such as you are, as part of what will essentially be a national cultural re-education program of the young and mature alike, in once again making Kadooman, and especially Grand Kadooman Day, Bajan in name and nature. In that way, Grand Kadooman Day will once again become known for much more than extreme displays of wakanak. I am therefore suggesting that such a long-term program of national re-education and reorientation should be greatly assisted by the coming together of like-minded persons and institutions, even if only in an informal network dedicated to the stimulation of national consciousness of the urgent need for preserving things Barbadian. Such a grouping would, on an ongoing basis, lobby for and draw public attention to the many forms of what could be considered soft Barbadiana, worthy of and in need of preservation, protection, and promotion, in much the same way as presently happens with such bodies as the Barbados National Trust and the Barbados Museum and Historical Society. And so, I eagerly look forward to seeing the results of your collective creative imagination, design, and production of this band. I'm sure it will teach your pupils and the wider public very important lessons about appreciating what helps to make us Barbadians, and give us further examples of how our national motto, pride in industry, can be creatively brought to life in our cultural activities. It is therefore with great pleasure that I launch your corporal band for what I'm confident will turn out to be an impressive and memorable undertaking, with the hope that your efforts will win overwhelming popular public approval, as well as the appreciation and awards of the judges. I thank you, and it might be a little bit premature, but I'm happy and successful Kiddies Kadooman Day to all. Thank you.